This one over here is a box standard hard drive, as we'd call in the UK. This one over here is a SATA SSD. It's about 5 times faster as this hard drive. Now this NVMe drive over here is a PCIe 3.0 drive and is about 3 times as fast as this SSD. And this one over here is a PCIe 4.0 SSD and is about twice as fast as this PCIe 3.0. So how do SSD speeds affect real-world Premiere Pro performance, and which SSD should you get? Are you bottlenecking your system? Well, hopefully this video is gonna help you understand that.
If you're looking for a cheap Windows 10 OEM license, then look no further. Bobkeys.com is a website where you can purchase all sorts of keys and licenses for very affordable prices. With a Tech Notice discount, you'll be able to get the Windows 10 Pro license 25% off. To purchase the license, click on the link in the description or search for Windows 10 license on Bobkeys.com. Then add the product to the cart and press proceed checkout. Remember to add the 25% discount code and complete the order. Once you have the license key, click here, paste in the license, and you're all done. Check out Bobkeys.com in the description below.
So let's talk about what's going to happen in this video. So I've done several tests on all of these SSDs and hard drives on Premiere Pro and seeing what would be the actual real-world performance difference. Can you feel the difference? So first of all, we've got to say which are the actual specs of these SSDs. Now you can see that the hard drive over here, the read speed is 105 megabytes per second and write speed 97. So basically around 100 both read and write speed, 100 megabytes per second. Then this T-Force Vulcan 1 terabyte SSD, which is a SATA SSD, now is much faster, about 5 times faster. The read speed is 552 and write speed 478. We're getting quite fast. Now, what about this SSD over here? Now, I actually didn't use this SSD, but this is representative of the SSD because the other SSD I left in the actual computer because it was too hard to get out. I'm just a little bit lazy, but basically what we used is a Samsung 950 Pro. It's a PCIe 3.0 NVMe drive and the read speed is 2579 megabytes per second and write speed is 1521 megabytes per second. So basically we're about 3 to 5 times faster speeds than a SATA SSD. Then the PCIe 4.0 drive over here that I tested, which is exactly the same one I tested over here, and the speeds for that is the read speed is 5000 megabytes per second, 5005 to be exact, and the write speed is 4253 megabytes per second. Insane speeds. The system I tested it in is my personal editing rig, which is the Mac Pro Killer if you haven't seen this on the channel, but I've slightly modified it ever since making the video. So now I'm running the 16 core Ryzen 3950X over there. By the way, to get PCIe 4.0 speeds, you need a Ryzen system at this point of making the video. I think Intel 11th Gen coming out this year should have PCIe 4.0 as well, but Ryzen system has had it for quite a while now. I'm running the MSI Creator X570 motherboard and the 3070 Founders Edition, which I ripped out from the Owl build. If you know the Peter McKinnon Owl build, I put it in their personal editing station because the Owl build is just kind of sitting around at the moment waiting to be bought. So that's the system I've been using these all with. So first of all, the file import speed. So the Premiere Pro is running on a separate PCIe 4.0 speed so that the actual program OS system isn't the bottleneck. And I've put some of the, like about 35 gigabytes worth of just video footage onto that drive, and then I'm pulling them all into separate, all of these drives. All of the projects on these drives I've separated, so all the files and everything that's with it are included inside this drive. Nothing is stored on any other drive, so it's purely testing the drive's speed. The project I'm actually testing on this is the black and white build, the 5900X build, the best pro creators PC for 2021. And the second part of it, which is when I'm going through all the parts of why I did this, but in there's a lot of different B-roll and things like that, so that's why I'm using that project, which is quite complicated project and it takes quite a lot of resources to run it. So I'm pulling the files, the imported files from the operating system PCIe 4.0 drive, which is one of those Sabrent Rocket drives, very fast drive as well. In terms of the import speed, the PCIe 4.0, 3.0 and the SATA SSD, they all do it literally the same speed. Like I'm talking about 3 milliseconds difference. 2.14 seconds was this one, and then these are 2.17 seconds. So very, very fast import speed. Whereas this hard drive over here does it much lower at 24.22 seconds, which is 11 times as slow as the rest of them. Now, what about opening the project? So the project is stored on there, everything is off, nothing else is running on the computer. Double click on the project and then start the timer, see which one like opens the project faster and loads all the previews of the actual, files, like all the video and, footage that is included in the project. Now, this is a bit more interesting, okay? This PCIe 4.0 has quite a big win over the rest of them, and it does it in 1 minute and 7 seconds. The second place is actually, interestingly enough, not the PCIe 3.0, but actually this SSD over here, which is 1 minute and 19 seconds, so 12 seconds slower as this PCIe 4.0. And then after that comes the PCIe 3.0 at 1 minute and 27 seconds. And then miles later comes this hard drive at 1 minute and 45 seconds. We're kind of proving the point that the NVMe drives are faster. But let's keep going. Now, what about the export speed? So what I basically did was the same project that I had over there, the first 10 minutes of it, and then exported from the same drive to the same drive as well to see if that somehow caps the system. Now, I did 2 tests because I tested it with Premiere Pro 2020 and then the Premiere Pro 2021, which is the new version, version 15.0. First of all, the 2020 version, the interesting thing is the fastest export was on the actual PCIe 3.0 drive, which is 7 minutes and 25 seconds, which is still very, very impressive compared to the 10-minute 4K timeline, exporting it to 4K one pass, so hardware acceleration is actually enabled, and 45 megabits per second, render at maximum bit depth and maximum render quality. So the Sabrent Rocker 3.0 is the fastest, and quite a bit faster actually, 7 minutes 25 seconds. Then comes the PCIe 4.0 drive at 8 minutes and 12 seconds, another like half a minute later. Then comes the SSD at 9 minutes and 28 seconds. And then comes the hard drive at 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So interestingly, on the older version of Premiere Pro, like the first place is kind of swapped over here. And when moving to the newer version of Premiere Pro, I couldn't get the export to be as fast as previously on the PCIe 3.0, which makes me think that there's some kind of like an odd thing going on with that over there, because I did the test on the previous Premiere Pro a few times, and then the times fluctuate quite a lot, like how fast it is. It's never like exactly in the same ballpark, like within few seconds. It's like sometimes a bit this fast and sometimes a bit this fast, which is a little bit odd. But moving on to the newer version of Premiere Pro, the 15.0 version, the result starts to become more stable and like the similar type of thing what's happening. And there now, on the latest Premiere Pro version, the PCIe 4.0 is the fastest drive. And we've actually improved the export setting since the last Premiere Pro version by about 8 seconds. Now, it's not much at 10-minute export, but it could be a lot when you're exporting a 1-hour footage. The 4.0 drive now on the new Premiere Pro is 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Then the second place is exactly equal, like by exactly the same time, like I mean by millisecond, exactly the same time. This T-Force and Sabrent Rocket are both 8 minutes and 8 seconds, so 4-second difference. And then the hard drive is 10 minutes and 23 seconds, which is quite a bit later, over 2 minutes later than the rest of them. But interestingly, still faster than the previous version of Premiere Pro. So definitely either the exporting engine on the new Premiere Pro has been changed, or some of the bugs have changed, but it is faster. And now the real world timeline performance, what does it actually feel using these timelines? Can you feel the difference? So here's the thing, I tested the playback speed with the Sony a7S II footage, which is about 100 to 150 or sometimes 200 megabits per second or something like that. Now, if you're using a different codec that has a higher bit rate of the video, the actual difference will be even bigger, because the bigger the bit rate, the harder it is on the actual SSD or hard drive, because there's bigger files to read back at the same time. So at this time it's that, but if you're using, for example, Red or Canon RAW or something like that, that's much higher bit rates, maybe getting closer to a gigabit per second rate, then it's gonna be even bigger difference on these SSDs and hard drives, just so you know. As you can see, our hard drive over here is literally 100% usage. Definitely see that it's bottlenecking, still loading the media. It's very laggy. Definitely you can see that the hard drive is a bottleneck in here. So let's have a look at the timeline performance now. So like there is bits coming up, but if you see, look, the hard drive is often 99% used, 100% used, so it's bottlenecking definitely. I mean, it's all right, but it's nothing good. Yeah, it's not like anything amazing. You could do any work with it, but it would be kind of a pain because it's just slow. SATA SSD. Okay, things are definitely happening the fastest. I can see a preview over here already, but it's probably actually reading them all from the SSD and writing them on the memory, because a lot of RAM has been used. Is loading all the previews and stuff on the RAM for a second. Okay, that's up. That is much faster than our hard drive. Let's pull this back so we can see how fast all of these previews over here are linked up as well. Timeline performance. I mean, definitely better. It does feel like there's more frames being produced just as I'm skimming over this timeline. The fastest thing is like when you just click on the timeline somewhere, and then how fast the picture appears, because on hard drive it was much slower. It probably is about 5 times faster actually. Now that's not bad editing experience. Now it's quite all right, and I don't expect it to like do the previews so fast on the timeline, because it's 4K timeline, loads of color grading, multicam in there, so it's playing back actually multiple 4K clips, because each one of those is actually 2 clips plus anything on top. It's getting complicated. Do you know what? This is now quite not that bad actually. Okay, it doesn't necessarily feel faster than the SATA SSD at the moment. So let's have a look at the timeline performance. Okay. Okay, that does feel snappier, and the timeline performance, when you just click on a random place and how fast the actual picture follow the click is definitely, you can feel it being faster than the SATA SSD. And the scrubbing through as well, it does feel like it's producing more frames than the SATA SSD actually. Yeah, it does feel faster definitely compared to the SATA SSD. But the biggest difference is when you click on the timeline and then how fast the picture appears. That is like what you can feel the difference. So now let's have a look at the timeline performance. At first, I don't feel the difference. In fact, it's completely lagging on the first part. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay, that is funny actually, because if you click through the timeline, that is definitely more responsive. It's almost instant, which wasn't like on the 3.0 drive. It was slightly slower. Depends on the point of the timeline as well. Some of the bits come faster, but it does feel like it comes through faster on here. Okay, let's just see how I'm scrubbing through. You actually can kind of feel a little difference. It feels more snappier, trying to give it like quick renders, quick previews to render out so you can see what you're editing or where you are. Not like a major difference. I think the bigger difference was between PCIe 3.0 and SATA. Now we've gone through quite a few tests. So what is the conclusion? First of all, hard drive is a big bottleneck in your system if you're editing on your hard drive. Moving from hard drive to any SSD, whether it's SATA SSD or 3.0 SSD or 4.0 SSD, that is a big jump of improvement. You might be even bottlenecking your CPU and GPU in the system because the actual system just can't read the files enough on the hard drive. Often when doing the test, I could see that the hard drive or the other SSDs were read and write speeds were sometimes 185 megabytes per second or close to 200 megabytes per second, which is double the maximum speed of what this hard drive can actually reach. In terms of the export speeds and import speeds and rest of the like kind of passive tasks, the 3.0 isn't as big of an improvement over SATA drive, and you don't really notice it, you know, when you're importing footage or when you're opening the project. But when you do feel the difference is in the timeline performance. The PCIe 3.0 does feel snappier in the timeline performance. And between the 3.0 and 4.0, to be honest, the difference is very hard to notice because they're both super fast speeds of, you know, SSDs. But I do believe I did feel and notice the difference on the timeline speed on the PCIe 4.0 and 3.0, especially after a while when you've been using and some of the previews have been made. It kind of loads them up faster, and you can see that when you're just clicking around the timeline, it does feel faster. Then the question is, which one should you be getting? Because all of these drives are quite big difference in price. So this one over here costs around $45 or something like that. This one over here costs $102. This one costs around $130 or something like that. And I'm saying this Sabrent Rocket drive because the Samsung 950 Pro drives aren't available anymore because they're a little bit older. And then these PCIe 4.0 drives are about $170. So basically for the same amount of space in your system, you're paying quite a big difference. And this is not even the fastest. You could get like something like this, which is a Sabrent Rocket 4.0 drive, and that is insanely fast. That's like another 2 gigabytes faster read speeds than this one. Do you see the difference? I doubt you will see, but there is a faster option available if people want. I'm gonna leave some suggestions in the description below which one should you be getting, but this is what I would be getting. Now, if you are a person who's like, come on, Lauri, tell me the best SSD I could get for my system that I want to run my projects on or anything, then what is the best you could get? The ultimate best. Then there are two options that I would recommend. Either this Sabrent Rocket 4.0 Plus drive and another option, which is the fastest SSD in the world, just slightly faster than this one, is the Western Digital Black SN850. I'm going to leave both of these drives in the description if you want to pick the best SSD possible in the world. Second of all, what is the very good, like without being a ridiculous amount of money? Now, there are two SSDs that you could be getting. Either this Cardia Zero over here, which is a Z440, which means, you know, PCIe 4.0 speeds, or this Sabrent Rocket. They're both very similar in terms of the speed, but what you want to check out is the latest pricing, because sometimes there's a deal on one and you can get it for $20 cheaper or something like that, or one or the other, and then you can get it $20 cheaper. So definitely worth checking that out. So that's like the second best. You know, you have to see what are the current pricing for both of these tries, whether the PCIe 3.0 or 4.0, whether it's necessary. I do think that it's more important to get an upgrade from SATA SSD to PCIe 3.0 rather than from PCIe 3.0 to PCIe 4.0, because there isn't that big of a difference over there. But some people do want to know what is the best, so there you go. There is two drives over here that I would recommend for the PCIe 3.0, which is this Sabrent Rocket, and more bang for your buck option would be the Cardia Zero Z340, which is basically a PCIe 3.0 version of this SSD, and that is a bit better read and write speeds than the Sabrent Rocket and costs a bit less. Definitely worth it, right? Absolutely. But check out the links in the description below. If the Sabrent Rocket is an offer, you might get a better deal either way, so I'll leave both of these in there if you want to check them out. And then in terms of the SATA SSD, why are you using this T-Force Vulkan SSD? Because it's actually better in read and write speeds than a Samsung drive and a bit cheaper. So more bang for your buck. So definitely worth checking this one out. I've got a review of this on my channel as well. And for hard drives, only use it for storage and archive. Don't actually use active projects on your hard drive if you can, because you will be better bottlenecking your system on the hard drive. But I'll leave some hard drive, good options for hard drives in the description as well if you want to check them out. So guys, let me know, what do you think? If you are another, tech genius, then please let me know in the comment section below if there's some other aspects that I should be testing, or other aspects I've maybe overlooked in this test and maybe should be testing again. Let me know in the comment section below if you think you can add any more value to this video. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It massively makes a difference. Believe it or not, it does. The algorithm, robots in there, they're thinking likes. Oh, someone said like. Huh? Someone liked it. Yeah. Come on, let's go and, push this video. That's how it works. You have to feed the algorithm giant or dragon. What's the word? Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you enjoy content like this. For creators, thank you. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.